as well as different hospitality management, hotel management, along with forensic science. These are the different courses which are innovative in nature and are showing a very promised difference in a certain time or in the certain upcoming future. So data analytics also is there, and it is one of the very vast and most important used curriculum. And data analytics is something that is used in each and every industry, be it any corporate sector or be it your educational backgrounds. Each and everywhere data analytics is used. So the first thing is look for your inner calling. Look for what you actually want to. This is the time, like everybody has just completed their 12th. So it was a time of pandemic. It was a time of like lockdown. Everybody has a lot of mental pressure at the same time. So try to find your inner calling. The first and the most important thing is that try to find certain techniques that help you be in touch with the upcoming trends, with the recent ongoings. So for the most important part is have a proper research before you join the course. Have a proper research regarding what is your field of study. It can be anything related to science, technology, arts, commerce, hospitality. So try to find out for what you have the actual desire to do, because in today's world no course is left behind. Like that era has gone where any particular job, like any particular field could get you a deserved job. Right now it is a era of interdisciplinary research, interdisciplinary studies. So try to incorporate as much as that you can. Yenepoya here offers you a diverse range of subjects. Okay, and these diverse range of subjects basically help you to find out your interdisciplinary branch. So you can be good in your hotel management, and at the same time you can be interested for your coding or data analytics, because of which every semester is given a certain elective. Okay, so you have something which is called as the common elective, general elective, so that you can explore other subjects also which are somewhat related or interdisciplinary to your main branch or major study. All right, so that will be my second thing to every newcomer who has joined or who is aspiring to join, to all our freshers. The first thing is try to find something that motivates you, and the second thing, always try to go for interdisciplinary branches, because sticking to one particular branch, you may not always get that desired result. And third and most importantly, you guys should know what job prospects you are getting after completion of this course. That is the main aim. So Yenepoya here offers you those, like it gives you the opportunity to explore this subject for 3 years. It gives you the opportunity to look into that subject. Okay, so more you do that, the more you become employable. So Yenepoya increases your employability. It gives you the such a nice exposure. It gives you the curriculum, something where you can explore about it more. This is upon, like, it's my request to every person, try to find out or research about the job prospects also prior to joining any course. And you can have 100% support from all our staff members, all the staff members from your particular department or overall in us. We have experienced faculty members who can talk about the different job prospects in their own field. What are the further examination? If you are interested for teaching, research, what are the further examinations? If you are interested to go abroad, then what examinations you have to give? What is the entire documentation process? You guys should be well aware with it. If you have any doubt or anything, there is always some person, mentors. You will be given mentors, and you will be given your class advisors who can always help you out with that. The another next thing which I would talk about is try to have certain discipline. Try to have a particular code of conduct when you join the organization. Firstly, as a student, you should make sure that you have that code of conduct. And it starts firstly is reaching on time, having that proper discipline. Secondly, your uniforms, your attire that you are having, and main and most important thing, be a sincere student. Okay, try to learn, try to take up as much as you can from the opportunities that have been given to you from Yenepoya. Okay, so it has, you will be sent to different places or different areas, but this place can form your basis if you try, if you yourself work hard enough. So it is not always scoring good or getting much marks. It mostly depends upon your own efforts, guys. So the more you put effort into learning, be it whichever field, and if everyone realizes or everybody acknowledges your effort, then you can be sure that your work is done here. Okay, so might be if you are good in sports, but you are not, because of different sports event or sports tournament, you are not able to attend regular classes, or you are not able to cope up with the syllabus as fast. I'm sure your friends, the faculty here will always motivate you to take up extracurricular things, and because after all, you as a person are shining, you as a person are exploring the new field. So it is a matter of pride for your alma mater. You guys will be the alumnus of our institute. So it's a matter of pride for us also. The another thing which I would like to talk about is try to have proper time management. So once you join here, you will have extracurriculars, you will have general electives, you will have 9:30 to 4 class. It can be a little bit overwhelming. It can look hectic because of one whole year of lockdown or 2 years of online studies. Offline study might be a little bit hectic, but please try to help each other, try to help all your classmates. You can ask help from our experienced faculty, principal ma'am, vice principal ma'am, all the experienced faculties, and they can always help you out to cope with the offline studies also. Offline studies will be more hectic because you have to attend on offline classes, you have to take notes, you might have deadlines to submit your presentations and all. It might not be that easy because you have to explain while giving the presentations. Similarly, I want you all to understand, for teachers also, it may be a challenging work, but we are all trying our best. And I expect that each of you, the newcomers and the new people who are trying to join, they also will have a similar approach. Okay, so I'll be now explaining what are the advantages that you can have if you join Yenapoya as an institute itself. Firstly, you guys might be very well aware that it has got a very nice name. It has got a very proper setup. So I, as a person, feel that this institutional setup is very well required for the proper working of any organization. Okay, so it follows a proper hierarchy, it follows a proper area of expertise, and it gives you the freedom also as students as well as we teachers to take the subject or mold the subject according to our own choice, according to our own wish. So that is a very important part, guys, that all of you have to try and like shape the subject according to your own understanding. The way I perceive a particular topic may be different, the way you perceive may be different. So here at Yenapoya, we have an open field of sharing ideas, sharing your different viewpoints. Okay, and that is the reason why we support or encourage research work very much. So you people being the first years or the freshers, I'll ask everyone, in whichever branch of study you have joined, please try to look for topics which are novel, something which is a new idea, something which is feasible, where data collection and all won't be too much hectic for you people. So something which is simple but yet novel and yet useful to the society. Okay, you can find certain topics, and then you can, once you have done enough research on it, or you have read about it enough, you can always prepare a certain protocol or a layout, and you can approach, or before making a protocol also, you can approach your faculty member. We at Yenapoya always try to build new researchers. We try to we are open to new researchers. We try to give you more field of expertise. We try to help you out in whatever field of research you guys want to join. And once you see this pattern, you may think that you are interested in doing this. Okay, so not just a single topic, try to explore multiple topics within one paper or within one subject, or within your course, try to explore multiple subjects. A person may not be very good with maths, but they are very good with computer science, or very good with sports science, or very good with biology. Okay, so whatever is, like, at the end of the day comes is to your inner calling, guys. So that will be my topic of talking today, that is look and hear to your inner calling. Once your inner calling talks, or what, once your inner calling specifies, these 3 years is basically your chance, your opportunity, and you all should make a grab for it. And just know one thing, that every person at Yenapoya is dedicated to your well working, to your good work, so that you all can prosper, you all can go forward with your higher studies. Okay, so do not be do not think that you have been given up a lot of work. Do not take it too much stress. Do not be overwhelmed with the stress. Please try to realize that everybody is dealing with the similar situation. So try to help one another and each other. And at the same time, remember that we at Yenapoya always are ready to help you people, be it regarding academics, be it regarding your normal stress management, time management, your research subjects, your further career opportunities. We are always open to new things. So that will be my session for today. And thank you all for your patient and kind hearing. If anybody wants to know anything about the different courses, because right now I'm in the forensic science department, so you can ask me if you want to know anything regarding this course, or regarding what are the further future prospects that you can go with it. You can ask me. Okay, so I assume all of you, nobody has any questions. Okay, so that will be my session for today, and I would like to. Okay, so the next session will start from 11 o'clock, and okay, so you can join from 11 o'clock then, and it will be a wrap up for me from me right now. Thank you, everyone.
Good morning, all. My name is Aishwarya, lecturer in Food Science and Nutrition at Apoya Institute of Art Science, Commerce and Management. So today I'll be talking on the topic self-management. So what do you all think what self-management is all about? Anyone? What is self-manage about? Can you all hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What do you all think self-management is about? Okay. Self management is our ability to manage our behavior, thoughts, and emotions in a productive way. So, it's known that we all have been in a lockdown for a long period of time, and you all have had online classes for a long period of time. So, do you all think you all have managed your time productively, or you all have wasted your time? Do you think you used your time productively? Anyone? No one is answering. You all can put up a message also if you all don't want to answer in chat box. So it has happened that in during the lockdown and we all had online classes. We have gone through a lot of distractions. So majority of us would not have been able to manage our time properly or productively. So if you want to study, you will have distractions like your family members coming in. You all have your mobiles. You start watching videos, social media, etc. So this has been a time wherein we have not been able to use our time productively. So in today's session, I'll be taking you through all these measures that you can follow in order to manage your self effectively. So, why do we need self management skills? So, it will help us be more organized to make up a proper timetable, follow what is in our priority, etc. So, when we know what things we have to do, we'll be more confident, we'll be we'll confidently approach people. Then, say for example, you all had to do a group presentation, and someone gives you a negative feedback. So what we will start doing is we'll start blaming each other. So is that how we are supposed to react? Are we supposed to blame each other, or should we accept our blame? We should own up our blame and take up responsibility. Is it? There's no reaction coming from your side. You can either put up your mic on and talk. If not, if you're not comfortable, please drop messages in the chat box. Then we have another thing is facing our workplace situation. So not all day will be a good day. So we may have to face some good times or bad times. In that case, we should prepare ourselves to face that situation. Next is prioritize our goals. So in order to reach our goal, we have lot of steps that we have to follow. So we will not be able to do all things at once. So what we will do is we'll see what work is the most important for that time, and we start prioritizing it. The first thing is role clarity. We should all know what our responsibility is and what our role is in a particular matter, what we'll be doing. Say for example, any one of you you will finish off your degree and you will be graduating, and you will be working as a product manager. So what a product manager will do is he'll plan a product. So in order to plan a product, he will also need a development group that will assist him in developing the product. So in that case, we should know what our duty is, what our co-worker duty is, and what our responsibility is also. Am I audible? Are you people following me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The next thing is goal alignment. So we all will have our personal goals and a professional goal. So when we take up an organization or a team for that matter, we all will be working in a team to reach a common goal. Say for example, your lecturer has given you a group presentation that has to be done. Okay. So in that particular period of time, what is the goal of you all as a team is to present your is to successfully present your presentation. What will be your personal goal is to bring out the best in you. So you all will be putting the best input of yourselves in order to reach a common goal, that is to bring up a successful presentation. So this could be an easy example to understand how to align your personal goal to a common goal. So this will help us to stay in track and maintain a site what we are working on. So strategy planning. So what do you all think is strategy planning about? Anyone? So what do you all think strategy planning is about? Do you all have any idea? Anyone? So in strategy planning, so say now you all have a goal to achieve. So presently we are talking about a group presentation. So in that group presentation, in order to successfully commit that group presentation, we all have to do a planning. We all need to have a to-do list. So we all will have our personal strengths and weaknesses, right? So one of you will have a very good oratory skills, will be very good in speaking. One will have a very good knowledge in making the presentation PPTs, and one will have a very good research idea in order to get the materials for the research. For the presentation. So what we'll do is we'll take up the best in each and every person. We'll combine it and make up a strategy to make the presentation a successful one. So in this case, we'll be taking everyone's strength. So what is your strength, your group mate's strength? We'll take up that in a positive way in order to give a successful presentation. So that is strategy planning. Priority settings. So I've told you before also, in priority settings to speak about, we all have lot of things to do. It's not that we have one thing to do for a time. So what we'll do is we'll make a list, we'll make a to-do list, and we'll write it according to the importance of the subject. So what subject has the most priority, what work has to be done the most important, that work we'll do first, then following the other works. So if we take the group presentation example, we'll see what is the first most important task in group presentation. So they to collect the material. So we should have the content to talk on. So we'll collect the materials, then we'll distribute among yourselves and you start working on it, right? So that is priority setting. Self-awareness. So are you all self-aware of who you are? Anyone who's responding? Do you all think you know yourself better? Anyone? So what do you think? If you think you're self-aware, what do you think of yourself? Are we all perfect, or we do have our flaws in ourselves? Yes, we all have our flaws. So being self-aware is to know what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. We should also know how we process our thoughts, our desires, and our feelings as well. So, for example, being self-aware is, say if you're very good at singing, there are some parts of you that are lacking as well, right? So when we work on a project, what we do is we keep a strong foot forward. So we always work on our strengths, and then will we leave our flaws as in, or we will also work on our flaws? So we'll be keeping a strength forward, then we'll start working on our flaws also. So once we have balance in both, we will know how to work more effectively. Emotional regulation. So we all have emotions, feeling. So should we always think in an emotional way, or we should always have a rational thinking? So you have a decision to make. So will you make it emotionally or rationally? Some of you have told rationally, but then it will completely depend upon the situation. Say if the situation is demanding for an emotional response, you will always respond it emotionally. For example, your friend is sick. Okay, will you respond in a rational way? You'll empathize, right? You'll have sympathy for your friend that he or she is not well. Whereas when when we take it in terms of work, there are some situations wherein we have to take our decisions rationally. So that is when we balance our emotional and rational thinking. Say for example, you will be going to write an exam and you have not prepared properly, and someone is coming and continuously keeping on disturbing you. What will you feel? You'll feel irritated, right? When you have not done your work and you are preparing for exams and someone is irritating you, you'll feel agitated. So most of the times we either show our anger upon them, we scold them, etc. But then will it help? Will scolding them help?
No, ma'am.
Yes. So scolding them will eventually lead to, like, you will lose your mood, you will be in more anxiety, and you will even hurt the person as well. So instead what you can do, you can make the person understand, see, I have an exam, I've not yet prepared, I want to study, can we talk later? That will be a better approach rather than shouting at the person, right? Anyone? Anyone who wants to add up any more points? You have any inputs to share? So I'll move forward. Self-care. So what we all think is, we usually think working for others is always good. So we have our family members, we buy them goods, we gift them. We always think self-sacrifice is noble. So self-sacrifice is also important, whereas self-care is also equally important. We should take care of ourselves as well. See, if you have been working for a long time and you are tired, it is also important for you to take break also. So you are tired, it is always nice to indulge in an activity that will refresh you. So if you like, say, dancing or singing, or if you are into sports, it's always better to take a break from your tight schedule and take up another activity. You refresh yourself and again come back to the schedule. So that means you'll work even more efficiently. So what do you think about multitasking? Is multitasking good? Anyone? Is multitasking good? Anyone? See, what happens for most of the people when they multitask is they do not complete one task completely. So what we'll do is half from this task, half from this task. We mess up the whole process. Instead, it is always better to put your attention to one task. Rishabh, anyone?
നിങ്ങളാണ് പങ്കാളിണ്ടായിട്ട്
It's always better to put your attention to one task and complete that task first and then move on to next task. What happens is when you start working everything at a time, you get more stressed. You can't concentrate on one work properly, and in the end, you'll only feel agitated. It's always better to finish off your first task, the first important task, and then to the next task. So reaction versus response. What is the difference between reaction and response? Are both the same?
No.
So what is the difference? How they are different from each other? Have you heard of this cockroach theory? Anyone who has heard of cockroach theory? So this cockroach theory is developed by the CEO of Google, Mr. Sundar Pichai. So what happens is, so Sundar Pichai would be in a restaurant and he'll be having his coffee, and he'll see a lot of people having a get together. Suddenly, from a cockroach from outside flies inside and sits in the lap of a lady. So, like anyone else, what that lady does, what will you do if a cockroach sits on your lap? So we will either respond it in two ways. We'll either start shouting or we'll take off the cockroach and throw it outside. So what this lady does is she starts shouting and screaming, and seeing her reaction was very contagious, and even other people start screaming, and they start throwing the cockroach from one person to another. So in the relay of throwing, the cockroach will land on the next lady who sits beside her, and even she starts screaming. So the situation becomes a whole of a mess, and then the waiter comes in. What the waiter does is he sees the movement of the cockroach and its behavior. He slightly picks up the cockroach and he throws it out. So what the conclusion Sundar Pichai draws from this situation is, see, in this situation, the ladies reacted whereas the waiter responded. So once the cockroach landed on the lady, she started screaming and shouting. Whereas the waiter saw the response of he saw the movements of the cockroach and he took it and put it outside. So who is right in this position? Is it the fault of the cockroach that it sat on the lady? Or is it the lady's fault that she could not manage the situation around her? Obviously, it's the mistake of the ladies, right? She could not handle the situation. If she was calm enough to push that cockroach aside, the situation would have been much calmer. Instead, they started screaming. So, this is not about the cockroach, it is about the problems that we face. So, it is always our inability in handling the situation that creates a mess, but not the problem. Okay, so what happens is when our teachers start scolding for us for not doing our work, it's not the scolding that matters, but our inability to take that scolding in a positive way that matters a lot. Okay, so the main difference between reaction and response is reactions are very instinctive. It is all of a sudden how we react to that situation, whereas response is always thought of. So we think what to do and then we react to that situation. So this is the main difference between reaction and response. So we should always make sure that when we are going to take a very important decision, it is not out of anger, anxiety, stress, or in a hurry, but instead it is always a always a thought process, and during that process, we learn how to make a good response. So this is what the conclusion Sundar Pichai drew from this story. So that's it. So you all have any questions, you can ask me. So I'll wind up the session. Thank you all for patiently listening to me.
Good afternoon, students. Am I audible to all? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Very good afternoon. My name is Nitin Yohanan. I have completed my bachelor degree in hotel management, then MSc in hotel management, Master of Tourism Travel Management, and certificate in food and nutrition. So I'm very happy to take a section on basic table etiquettes, which are all the students that you need to know. Today or tomorrow, this is going to help you in your future. Because even though when you complete your degree, of course, when you go out, there will be some formal function which you need to attend on behalf of your company. So you should know all the table manners. Here we are just discussing some of the table manners which you need to know, and of course I hope that you know it, but still just a small reminder. So let's start with the sessions. Now, what do you mean by etiquettes? Basic etiquettes. In simple way, if you tell, etiquette is right action and right speech. In another way, we can say this is a customary code of polite behavior in a society or among members of particular profession or a group. So that is called as etiquettes. Now let's move on to. So whenever you go to a restaurant, this is very important that when you enter a restaurant to have a meal or for a formal function, maybe it can be your meal interview. What do you mean by meal interview? Anybody know what is meal interview? This is an interview which is done when you have a meal, which means they will check the way that you have. Are you having all the table manners? When you have a meal itself, we will be able to understand what is your character. So, when you enter a restaurant, it is your duty to put your phone in a silent mode or in a vibration. Now, other thing is whenever we go to a restaurant, there is a habit for everybody that we keep our mobile phone, wallets, and key of a vehicle on the table. Do you think it's a good gesture? Anybody? No, this is not. Okay, so whenever you go to a restaurant, you are not supposed to keep your mobile phone, wallet, key on the table. Your mobile phone should be put in your pocket and it should be in a silent mode or in a vibration. And during the meal, you are not supposed to check your phone. Now, and now you may think, then when I will check my phone? Of course, you can check your phone once you leave the table. That means once you complete your entire meal and once you leave the table, you can check your phone. Now, then you may think, oh, how can I leave without checking my phone if I get a call? See, this is what you're giving time to your fellow dinner. So it is very important that you don't use your phone when you go for a formal function. So dining. So please make sure that your phone, wallet, key, everything should be in the pocket, and you make sure that you are in a silent mode. The phones are in silent mode or in a vibration. Now, so before going to the table, it is very necessary for you that you wash your hands and go clean. Now, I have written here, don't groom or attend to hygiene at the table. So, some people, there is, even though when you go with your friends, when you go for a party or for a meal to a restaurant, normally you comb in front of a mirror. You are not supposed to do those things. Okay? Then, this is a small table setup that you find in a fine dining restaurant. So here you can see some soup spoon, dinner knife, dinner plate, your napkin, dinner fork, glass. These are the basic table setup. So do you know which side you have to take the cutlery? Which cutlery you have to take at first? Always in a standard restaurant, we try to take it from out to in. Out to in means you take first soup spoon. And here you also need to understand that in a standard, in a professional restaurants, you need to have for each and every dish, you will have a proper cutlery and a crockery also. So every course you use different spoons or fork or knife. Don't use the same one for everything. So normally we start from out to in. And here you can see in a normal setup there will be a water glass which is on the tip of the largest knife. Then you will have wine glasses. Normally there will be two wine glasses. One is meant for white wine and another one is for red wine. And on top of the plate also there will be a dessert spoon and dessert fork, which is not there in this, uh, which is only used to have your dessert. Don't use those things for another any course. Now, when you enter to the restaurant, or you have washed your hands, you have come to the table. Next thing, when you are going to sit, you need to use your napkins, and you should know how to use the napkins. So it is very important when you sit at the in a chair. Please pick up the napkin and put it in your lap. Please put the napkin, unfold it, and put it in your lap. This is very basic etiquette that you have to follow. And please, when you get up or when you go, if you want to go somewhere between the meal, you have to take the napkin and keep it on the table. Do not put your napkin on the chair. And even though when you finish your meal, it is very necessary that you fold the napkin and keep it on the table. Next thing, of course, you cannot use your napkin to wipe your entire face. Of course, if there is something on your lips, you can use these napkins. Now, this is the basic way of holding cutlery. We call it as your knife, fork, spoons as a cutlery. There are two different methods used in the normally used. One is continental style and another one is American style. Normally everywhere the people follow the continental style. So the continental style, you are supposed to hold the knife on the right hand and your index finger extended along the blade, as you can see in the image. And the fork, you will hold it on the left hand side and the tines need to be downwards. Now you hold the fork, or imagine you are going to have a meat. You use the fork to hold it, and with the knife you cut it. Then you change the fork, you will shift to your right hand, then you eat. Okay, don't no, some people they eat with left hand also, but the most appropriate manner, change to your knife. You can keep on the plate, on the top of the plate, then use your fork and have with the right hand. Are you getting it, students?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Then the other thing, cut only one piece of food at a time. Do not cut small pieces and keep it in your plate. That is not a good manner. Imagine if it is a children, yes, you can do that, but for adults, it's not a good manner. So you have to make sure that you cut a small piece and at the same time you have it. Now, this is how you are going to start a meal. Whenever you go to a restaurant, you can see this setup which shows that you are going to start a meal. Now what we are going to see is some of the symbols that is used after the meal or during the meal. Okay, it is very important that you have to follow. Now, when this is the gesture that you show when you are on a pause, that means you are having some food and you want to discuss with your fellow dinner something, anything related, maybe a business matter, anything. So you give a pause to the food that you're having. In that case, you are supposed to keep the fork and knife in this way, which shows the waiter also, anyone comes, they will not clear your plate. Otherwise, if you keep in a finished way, they normally clear your plate and again you yell at them, telling that why you picked my plate. Okay, so this is the a symbol that you give when you give a pause to your food. This is the symbol that you show, that means you have done your meal, means one dish. You are ready to move this dish and get another one. I'm ready for my next meal. Imagine normally we in a standard hotel, normally they say 3-course meal, 4-course meal, 5-course meal, which means a starter, main course, a dessert, that is a small three-course meal, where they may have a soup or main dish. So once you have the main dish, once you finish with the main dish, you keep the cutleries in this way so that they understand that you are completing your main course, you are waiting for your last course or a dessert, you are waiting for your next meal. So when you have to keep in this way. Next, this is the symbol that you show when you have completed the meal and you want to show that the food and the service was excellent. So you keep your knife and fork in this way, which shows that the food and the service was excellent. Now, in a plate, you keep a fork ulta, means you keep it downwards, which shows that you are going to come back to the same restaurant again because you like the food, the service you like, so you want to come back again. So you normally keep your fork in this way. Now, this is the gesture that you show that you didn't like the dish. Means you did not like the dish. Imagine the food maybe was not tasty. So normally we are not supposed to say that the food is bad. If the food is not cooked, of course you can send it and they will cook it and bring. But in the restaurants, normally a good manners means you will not tell that the food is bad because there is a lot of pain has taken to bring so much food in front of you. So you have to respect the food, but once you have the food, you can keep like this, which tells that you didn't like the food or you didn't like the dish. Now, the another thing, when you like the food, but the service was bad, because even though they did a late service, they didn't serve you on time, so anything related service and you are not happy with the service, in that case you keep a knife inside your fork, which shows that you did not like the service. Then this is the last one which you tell or you will which you keep in a restaurant or in a plate. That means your meal is over, you have finished entire your meal. Okay, this is the symbol that you keep, just you are telling that I'm done. Now, next, basic table manners that what we need to follow is, do not make any chew sound. Normally people make like crunch, munch, means something like this sounds, right? You are not supposed to make these sounds. So how can you eat without making a sound? Just close your mouth or close your lips and chew it. Then there will not be any sound. Please make sure that whenever you have food, please close your lips and have. Do not have too much. Take little by little and consume. Don't have too much. Now, when you are in a professional dining with your fellow, the other thing, you have to finish what is there in your mouth, then you take a drink. Simple way, we go to maybe a Domino's or Pizza Hut to have pizza. At the same time, we may buy Coca-Cola. What happens? One hand we eat the pizza, at the another hand we drink. So that is not a good manners. First, what is there in your mouth? You finish eating. You chew it, you finish it, then you drink. Okay. The combination, you get a different taste. You will not be able to enjoy the meal. Simple way, the standards are meant to enjoy the meals. Okay, so make sure that you have chew whatever in your mouth, chew it, finish, swallow it, then take a sip of any drink. Imagine it can be a wine, it can be a water. Normally, what we do, we take a rice at the same time, we drink water. That's not a good mannerism. Okay, then you have to cope up with, means whatever you have to have a pace yourself with fellow diners. You should not go very fast. Imagine your fellow diners are having a soup at the same time. Please make sure that you also have a soup. Once both of you finish soup, then go to the next course. One person is having main soup and another one you are going to have main course. That shows that shows not a good table manners. Your table manners, you both of you have at the same time. Imagine the person is having, it is not necessary that you need to have the same food. But if one person is having a gazpacho soup, you can have a manjo soup. Please make sure that both of you finish the soup at the same time, then go for the next dish. Now, this is very important even in your house. Maybe parents may be telling, don't slouch on your table or don't keep elbows on the table. And this is not a good gesture. Please make sure that when you have a food, please do not keep your elbows on the table. Now, this is that's not a right gesture, but when you are having a conversation, you can put the symbol of your pause symbol when you have a food. You can put a pause symbol and you can put elbows on the table. Only when you have a conversation. Otherwise, when you have a food, you are not supposed to put your elbows on the table. Now, this is normally what we do. We just, if there are 10 people in a table, they are having the dinner. If you want maybe some bread, what do? You reach your hands to the at the end of the table. That is a wrong thing. You ask them to pass the food. The best table manners is asking them to pass the food to you. Okay, so it is normally passed to the right side and everybody get. And do not pick too much at the same time. First, you have slow, little by little, taste it, enjoy it. If you like, of course, how much time you want, you can take. At a one time, don't make your plate like a mountain. Please make sure that you take little by little and ask to pass the food to you. Is that clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then, next thing, when you have a proper dinner, please be prepared to talk something. I'm not telling that you should ask what is the height of Burj Al Arab. I'm not telling what is the height of that building. Just talk casually something. You have to get prepared for that. You have to go prepared to that. Okay, whenever you go for a formal dining. Now, so that's all the basic, some basic table etiquettes which you need to have follow. And now, do you know what is a cocktail and mocktail? Simple way, cocktail means it's a mixture of juices with alcohol in it. Cocktail is a mixture of juices with alcohol in it. When we talk about mocktail, it's just mixture of juices. You don't have alcohol in it. Now, let's see what are the restaurant etiquettes that you need to follow. There are 12 restaurant rules which everybody need to follow if you are going for a formal dining. Okay, so this are the 12 points which we already discussed some of them. Anyway, let's see. So the first one, don't put your cell phone or keys or purse on the table. The first one what we discussed. Do set up a payment ahead. Imagine if you are the host, if you are inviting your friends or anybody for a dining, then you make sure that you pay for it, not your friend or anybody. Please make sure that you pay for it. Okay, or you can tell the waiters in advance that, sir, I will be paying for this. You can take the money from me, don't take it from my guest. This is one of the basic etiquettes. Then the third one, do know where to place your napkins. As I said, where to place the napkins? Yes, it's on the lap. Then do let your guest order first. Imagine you are giving a treat, that doesn't mean that you have to order. No, the good manners means if you are calling your friends, you are telling your friends to order first. Then you order what you want. Do always dress nicely. Whenever you go for a formal function, dress nicely. And don't yell to your waiter. That means don't shout at your waiter. Imagine if he's late, be in a polite way and tell. Don't yell at him. That shows your character. So dining is just doesn't mean that you are just going and having, even though we can understand your character from the way that you have a meal. Now, don't reach across the table to sample your companion's food, as I said. Don't send back food that's not cooked properly. Do send, sorry. So make sure that if the food is not cooked, you can send back, but do not say when the food is in front of you, do not say the food is bad. If the food is not cooked, you can send it back, but don't complain. Once you have it, you can say the food was not satisfying or something. Do send back, okay? Do order the same number of courses as your companion. As I said, if he's ordering a starter, main course, and dessert, please, you also should order a starter, main course, and dessert. Don't start a business conversation before the conclusion of entree. Entree means it is a French classical menu. This is the main course. So until you don't finish your main course, do not start any business conversation. You can have some casual conversation, but until you finish your main course, do not have any business conversations. Then don't place your utensil on the side of your plate when you are done eating. So this is normally, even though you don't take all the utensil and keep near to you. Every time make sure that once it is done, tell the waiter to clear it. Then the final one, do remember your table manners. So these are the basic things that I want to tell you. I hope I am clear to you. Yes? Am I clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I just want to show you one video which takes around 18 minutes. What are the things I have told you? Almost the same thing and little more extra which are explained in that. So please watch the video. Okay. I hope the video also audible to you. Can you hear the video sounds?
No.
No, sir.
You were not able to hear?
No, sir.
Now?
No, sir.
Just give me a moment. Let me correct it. Okay. You were able to hear?
No, sir. കണക്ക് വന്നാലോ? വല്ലാണ്ടിട്ടോ.
If you prefer that, or if that's what's served with a meal. You see a little plate with an extra knife on the top left of your plate? That's... Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. Today's video is all about table manners. We provide you with the ultimate guide on a basic dining etiquette so you don't embarrass yourself and get ahead in life. This is part 1 in an ongoing series about etiquette, so please check out the other videos in our playlist. Table manners are probably something your parents taught you, but are actually far more important as an adult. First of all, your table manners speak volumes about your refinement, and it's often interpreted as a sign of character. It's not at all about being snobby or showing off, but much rather to show respect. Your host and your dining partners will greatly appreciate your manners. Good table manners are a proof of your social skills, and because of that, they're often part of an interview process for hiring positions or people where you have a lot of client contact. Just the other day, I talked to an entrepreneur, and he only hires people after he had lunch, dinner, and a drink with him because he wants to see how they react in different situations, and without proper manners, he won't get the job, that's for sure. Table manners also help you so you don't embarrass yourself or otherwise draw any kind of negative attention to you. Last but not least, table manners make other people feel comfortable in your presence and therefore help to keep up the flow of conversation and entertainment, which is the main part of dining together with other people. It's very important to keep in mind, proper table manners will always help you and never hurt you. The good thing is, they can be learned and it's never too late to do so. So what are table manners? Basically, they're the actions and the behavior at the dining table. In this day and age, you'll encounter a lot of informal dining situations, but that never means that table manners are not required or appropriate. For example, a barbecue should never be an excuse to chew with your mouth open and make noises like a pig. After all, we're all civilized people. The rules, do's and don'ts we discuss in this video today apply to every basic dining situation out there that involves silverware. For more in-depth situations about very formal dinners with multiple courses, lots of different silver and glassware, stay tuned for another video. Also, before you can sit down at the dining table, usually there's an invitation, there's an RSVP, there's a gift, and we cover all of the before and after dinner etiquette rules in a different video. Let's focus on what happens when you sit down at the table. I suggest to turn your cell phone ringer off when you enter someone else's home and put your phone in your pocket when you're with guests or if you're hosted. Don't leave your phone on the table because you're much more likely to pick it up and look at it, which is impolite in the presence of other people. If the table is all set, you don't just walk in and sit down. Instead, wait for a cue of the host, or if they sit, you can sit as well. Ideally, you want to sit up straight but comfortably. Don't slouch, cross your arms, or sit like you would on your couch at home while watching a football game. Don't expect to sit next to your partner and follow the lead of the host. Traditionally, couples were always mixed up to sit with different people, oftentimes man, woman, just so you would create an interesting way to stimulate conversation. If there's a napkin on the plate or next to a plate, put it on your lap right away. If the host or hostess wants to say grace, accept the gesture for what it is and move along. At the same time, do not offer to say grace yourself because people may not be religious at all. 2. Let's take a look at a place setting. In the Western world, an informal place setting will always have at least a plate, a knife, and a fork. If dessert will be served, you'll find either a little fork or a spoon on the top side of the plate. If soup is served or anything else that requires a spoon, you will also have a spoon. At more formal dinners, place settings can be a lot more elaborate with several sets of silverware, and the general rule of thumb is to always work your way from the outside in, but we'll talk much more about that in our formal dining guide video. Take a look here. On the top right side of the plate, you'll likely find a water glass, which is always filled, and a wine glass, which is empty to begin with. Sometimes you'll also find beer glasses, if you prefer that, or if that's what's served with a meal. You see a little plate with an extra knife on the top left of your plate, that's for bread and butter. Again, silverware is arranged from the outside in. So if you see 2 forks and 2 knives, that means you start with the outermost fork and the outermost knife. That's usually for the appetizer or the starter course. When you're done with the course, you place the fork and the knife at a 4 to 5 o'clock angle. That means you're done. If you're not done yet, you can have it in this position or in that position. That indicates that you're not finished eating yet. Do not put the used silverware back on the tablecloth or the table, and simply put it on the plate so it can be taken away. Trust me, your host thought about when they put together the place setting, and everything has a reason. In restaurants in the US, you often encounter 2 forks on the left and 1 knife on the right. In that case, use the outermost fork on the left and the knife on the right to eat your starter course, and then request a new knife, whether it's a steak knife or a regular knife, for your main course. 3. Now it's time to serve the food. Most informal dinners are family style, meaning there are bowls or platters where food is served from. For formal dinners, courses are usually plated, but we talk about the intricacies of that in our formal dining etiquette video here. With bowls and anything at a table, the cardinal rule is don't reach over anybody else and don't touch them. To start, pass the roll around the table from the left to the right. When you get the bowl, you hold it and you serve yourself, and then you pass it on to your neighbor on the right. Always use the serving utensils and never your silverware that's on your place setting. Of course, if the host or hostess have a different idea, go with what they do. If you'd like seconds later on, or if you want salt, simply ask for it and don't reach it unless it's right in front of you. If someone asks you for either salt or pepper, always pass them both things together. When you serve yourself, be reasonable. You can count how many people are at the table, and everyone wants something, so don't pile it up on your plate. You never want to take more than your fair share, and keep in mind there will likely be seconds. Always be open-minded about the food being served. Even if you think you don't like something, the host likely put a lot of effort into the meal, and you should always at least try it. Just put a little bit on your plate and try. If you suffer from severe food allergies, you should tell the host before the dinner is cooked so they can make the proper arrangements. 4. Finally, it's time to eat. You should only start eating when everyone else has been served and the host or hostess starts to take their fork and take the lead. It's considered very impolite and sometimes even rude to just dig in to your plate of food while the others are still empty-handed. When it comes to eating with silver, there are basically 2 schools of thought. One is the American way and one is the continental way. With the American method, you hold the fork in your right hand and you eat that way. If you cut off something, you transfer the fork to your left hand and have the knife in your right hand. When you're done cutting, place the knife on top of the plate or on a knife rest if it's available, and then you transfer your fork from the left to the right again and eat. Because this back and forth, it's also known as the zigzag method. On the other hand, with the continental method, you hold the fork in the left hand and the knife in the right hand. That way there's no switching of back and forth. Both the American and the continental method are perfectly acceptable. Personally, I prefer the continental version simply because I don't have to switch back and forth, and so I can focus more on the conversation rather than having to pay attention to my plate. Even within the continental school of thought, there are differences in how you put the food to your mouth. Basically, when you hold your fork, you hold it in the left hand more like a pencil. However, when you switch to cutting something, you turn the fork around about 180 degrees. For example, if you cut a piece of meat, you can leave the fork in a cutting position and move it right to your mouth. That way it's curved down. Or you can switch it up and bring the fork to your mouth with it facing up. Both styles are acceptable. When it comes to spoon, basically everything that is served in a bowl or a bouillon cup is supposed to be eaten with a spoon. The key is to be comfortable with whatever method you use. It should always look effortless. Feel free to practice at home until it has really become a part of who you are, so you never have to think about it twice. So the big question is what to do with your elbows. As a general rule, don't put your elbows on your table when you're eating because it's considered to be impolite. Instead, leave your wrists on the table when you're chewing, or if you go with the American method, you can also keep your hand on your lap. Now, in between courses, or if you have a conversation after dinner, it's totally fine to have your elbows on the table. Just make sure that your body language is engaged and not slouching. When eating in company, pace is very important. The goal is to have a great flowing conversation, and because of that, you should neither eat too slow nor too fast. Something that I sometimes struggle with is speed. I eat way too fast. So company really helps me to slow down and engage in conversation. That way I can enjoy the food and the company at the same time. A good indicator are always the people around you or your host or hostess, so neither too fast or too slow. As a general rule, cut up the pieces of food as you eat them. Don't cut up everything before and then eat it piece by piece. That's only something you would do for a little child, not for a grown person. Also, take small bites and chew them and swallow them completely before you take the next bite. Always eat with your mouth closed and avoid making any chewing noises. Years ago, I used to eat a lot more salt than I do now, and so I always made assumptions about the food and heavily salted it before I tried it. Don't be that guy. Why? If a hiring manager sees that you salt your food before you try it, they'll let you believe that you make assumptions rather than make decisions based on fact, and they're less likely to give you the job. Even in a personal setting, it can be disrespectful to just salt your food without having tried it in the first place. Of course, if you've tried a food and it's under seasoned to your taste, ask for salt and pepper, and it should be better. Now is also a great time to compliment the host or hostess on their table arrangements, their food, maybe the choice of their wine, or something that you genuinely like. Make sure you're sincere, because otherwise people will notice. If someone asks you a question while you're still chewing, finish chewing and then answer. Likewise, don't ask others questions while they're still chewing, because it may put them in the awkward situation where they still have to chew for 10-15 seconds. That creates awkward pauses. If bread is served with dinner, it's likely served in a basket or in a bowl, and you pass it around just like any other serving bowl, from the left to the right. If you get the bowl, you take a piece of bread, you put it on your plate, and you pass it on or put it back in its spot. Most of the time, butter is served with bread. Put some butter on your plate with a butter knife that is clean. Never use a knife or a piece of silverware that has been used. Depending on the country you're in, eating bread can also be different. In the US, most people will butter their entire bread, then pick it up by hand and take a bite and put the bread back. In Germany, for example, that would be a faux pas. Instead, you would take a piece of bread, break it off by hand, put a little piece of butter from your plate onto the bread, eat it, and then continue later on with breaking the bread, buttering it, and then eating it. So if you travel abroad, be aware of the cultural differences and try to be cognizant of them and respect them. If you end up with excess food in your mouth, use a napkin on your lap to wipe it off right away. Make sure to always use just one side of the napkin and stick with it, otherwise you'll stain your clothes. If something gets stuck in your teeth, don't just sit there, use a toothpick, or try to wipe it off while other people are there. The worst thing you can do is hold up your hand and try to get rid of it using your finger and maybe make awkward noises. Instead, excuse yourself, go to the restroom, make yourself look presentable, maybe use a toothpick if one is available. For example, in Austria, you find toothpicks even at the finest restaurants, versus in Germany, toothpicks are not something you will commonly encounter on a table. If you need to use a toothpick, it's always safer not to do so in public or at the table. So how should you excuse yourself? If you must leave because you're expecting an urgent call or you have to go to the restroom, simply say, "Excuse myself, I'll be right back." Please don't explain why you have to leave or what the reason is, or that you just had 4 beers earlier and that you really have to pee. That's just not an appropriate conversation at the time. So while getting up from your chair, fold your napkin and place it to the left on your plate or on the chair. No, it doesn't have to be folded like before, just make sure it looks neat. Also, push your chair back in. My wife always gets annoyed with me if I don't put my chair back. If you ever have to leave the table, make sure to keep it short and 5 minutes max, otherwise it's very rude and impolite to stay away for longer than that. Now, all that being said, here are some things you should never do when eating. Never use your fingers to eat food off the plate, or especially put your last bit of food onto the fork. Instead, use a knife. I see a lot of people making that mistake, but it's completely unnecessary because you have all of the utensils at your disposal. Likewise, never lick your fingers or your fork or your plate afterwards, even though it's really, really tasty. Do not use your fork to cut something up. I see it time and time again where people are too lazy to pick up their knife and then they just try to push down, but it just shows you don't have proper table manners. Also, don't flatten your food. I distinctly remember my grandpa always kind of smashing on everything and flattening out on his table because he wanted his food to cool down faster so he could eat faster. It's just a bad look and it creates a bad vibe. Now that we talked a lot about eating, what about drinking? As a rule of thumb, you should never drink unless your host has raised a glass to a toast or started drinking themselves. Typically, you toast with wine or champagne, maybe with beer, but definitely not with water or pop. If there's stemmed glass on the table, you should hold them by the stem. Don't let the host or other guests dictate of how much alcohol you drink. You know your limits, and it's okay to say no thank you or to simply not continue drinking your glass, even though it's still full or half full. Don't get wasted and keep your consumption moderate. You don't want to be the odd guy out who gets hammered when he's invited over for dinner, because it will likely be the last invitation for you. Generally, you should not ask for more wine or beer. A good host will notice that your glass is empty and offer you more if they have more. Now, as I said before, the main goal of having dinner in company is to have a great conversation, and so your body language and how you converse are very important. It all starts with your voice. Moderate the volume of it so you don't scream, because that can be very unpleasant. Let other people finish talking and ask interesting questions and then listen. If you behave well and you're very entertaining, you may even end up with a compliment. If you want to learn how to accept one in a graceful way, please check out this video here. At the end of the meal, just fold your napkin and place it next to your plate. Never put it on the plate. Now, most people will never call out bad table manners in person. However, they will reflect poorly on you, and you may not be invited back, or your invitations may be rebuffed. Now that you're equipped with this table etiquette knowledge, you probably know more than the average person out there. However, that doesn't mean that you should chastise others about their table manners, or even worse, criticize the host or tell them what to do, especially in a public setting, because that's very embarrassing. Instead, always be kind, be generous, ask questions, listen, be a good sport, and smile. In today's video, I'm wearing two suit separates, the jacket of one, which is a brown and blue Prince of Wales check, and a blue pair of pants from another suit. Together, they wear
Hi students, so I hope you understood. Now onwards they are telling the attire which they are wearing. So is there any doubts or clarification that you want to ask me? Anything? Then otherwise we'll bind up. Anybody? I hope this today or tomorrow, 100% sure this will help you one or another way. Because this is very important that we all should know the table manners. And please try to follow all these table manners whenever you go out, so that it tells you that the professionalism. It tells you that you are good at all the table manners, which tells your character. So please try to follow all this whenever it is possible. Of course, and when you are in a formal dining, when in the future, once you complete your courses, you have to represent your company, or you will be having a dinner with your CEO. So they will focus, they will follow, they will see what you are doing, how you are eating. Even though there is an interview, as I said in the starting, a meal interview. During the meal interview, these are the things they look at it, so that from that they can understand. When you are arrogant with your waiters, that tells you cannot be a polite person to your customers. So these are the basic manners that you need to follow. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Is there any doubt that you have? Students, am I audible? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any doubt anybody having? Maybe any simple doubt? Maybe which is not mentioned in this video, or like any table manners doubts, if you have, you can ask me. Anyone? No doubts? So I hope whatever I have shown and I have told you understood well. So I wish you a good Diwali, and I think you can be there because ma'am want to talk to you. Just some few more minutes. Okay, please don't leave the meeting. Be there.
Good afternoon, students. This is Ratnakar from Department of Computer Science. So please note, today this basic common Deeksharam session is over by today. So tomorrow onwards, you will have from your department side, you will have some orientations, bridge courses, and subject-related discussions, etc. So your mentors will contact you, maybe mentors or the class advisors of respective batches, classes will contact you and let you know regarding the sessions tomorrow onwards. So thank you very much for attending this entire weeks together of Diksharam here. Thank you very much. So you can take a break for the day. You can take a break for the day, and tomorrow onwards you will be joining for your bridge courses and orientations and other sessions by the departments, your respective departments. Thank you. Thank you very much.